It's almost a month to the start of the 2021-22 NBA season, and after several trade attempts for Ben Simmons, the 76ers are still telling teams that they're willing to start with Simmons next season if their asking price isn't met. Simmons wants to pack his bags, and he has made it clear to the Philadelphia 76ers front office that he wants to be traded, and he is even planning on sitting out training camp in order to force a way out of Philadelphia. Simmons has also made it clear that he wants to be traded to one of the three teams in California, and it appears that the Warriors are at the top of his list. When Ben Simmons walked off the court after his awful and terrible Game 7 performance, all of us began to wonder if it would be the last time we would see him play for the 76ers. And those fears became reality when news came that the all-star point guard had informed the Philadelphia 76ers that he wants out of town and will not report to the NBA team's training camp. This is sad for both the 76ers, who drafted Simmons as the first overall pick back in 2016, and for Ben himself. For the past 4 seasons, Ben Simmons has been one of the most important players for the Philadelphia 76ers, along with Joel Embiid and several other talented players. Simmons has helped lead the Sixers to a respectable standing in the East, but over the last few years, things haven't been great between the club and the player. The first reason is thanks to repeated early playoff eliminations, while the second one has been the failure of the 25-year-old to improve on his shooting ability. Right now, it seems like the relationship between both the player and the franchise has reached a boiling point, and the situation seems to only be getting uglier by the week. Right now, Ben Simmons isn't even returning anybody's calls from within the organization, including those from his coach. That's how badly he wants to leave. And if everything we're hearing about this is true, then it's both for best Ben and the 76ers to part ways. That's the only logical thing to do here, because bridges have been broken and they've reached the lowest of lows. To be honest, there's really no coming back from this. You can understand that the 76ers don't want to trade him for less than they should get, but you also don't want to take a player whose body and soul has left the franchise into the new season. He will be displeased and grumpy, and that attitude will bring everybody else down with him. When you think about it, the saga is just like a James Harden situation in Houston last year, and we all know how that went down. Harden's situation got really bad in Houston last year, and Simmons' situation could get to that level. After a terrible performance in the playoffs, Harden literally forced Houston to trade him by cutting off all contact with the team and causing a major split in the locker room. Of course, things haven't gotten this bad or ugly in Simmons' case, but there's no guarantee that it won't get worse as time goes on. According to multiple reports, the trade price the 76ers are placing on Ben Simmons is very high. They're reportedly asking for a minimum of 4 future first-round picks and an all-star level player in most cases, but not in all scenarios. To be honest, that's just absurd. Simmons is a great player. He's alright, but for someone who cannot take game-winning shots or take an easy 2-point shot, that just sounds ridiculous. Simmons can be an overwhelming player for opposition teams and players on his best days, but on his worst days, he's just as bad. A very good example to justify this was the Game 7 match against the Hawks. I mean, just take a look at this. Why the hell would Simmons pass up a wide-open dunk? Despite his awful Game 7 performance against the Hawks, Simmons is still a 25-year-old who is averaging 15.9 points, 8.1 rebounds, 7.7 assists, and 1.7 steals per game through the 4 seasons of his career. And let's not forget that he's still under contract with the 76ers till 2024-25, so you can understand why the 76ers are putting that much value on him. You can also feel for them. If they lose Simmons, they will be parting ways with not just the best player on their roster, but the face of the franchise. In Simmons' 4 seasons in the NBA, including 2 all-defensive first-team selections. So to assess Simmons' trade value, we will need to carefully examine the 25-year-old. Let's take a look at his game to get a better sense of what he could bring to any team. One of the things that makes Simmons a very unique player is that he has the size of a forward but the skills of a guard. The 25-year-old is 6'11" tall with a 7-foot wingspan, and that makes him a threat to grab and go. Simmons is too quick for most bigs to keep up with after missing a shot, and he's also too big for most guards to handle when he gets into the paint. So once he or someone else on his team secures the rebound, there's almost no stopping him. Simmons' ability to punish teams for being careless will help turn turnovers for his team into ways to offense. Players who run with him will most likely be able to hit a 3-pointer on the break or an easy dunk. And a proof of this is the last 2 seasons. Simmons has assisted a total of 422 3-pointers. In the league, only Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, and Luka Doncic have created more. However, the half court is where Simmons runs into issues, and most of you guys already know where we're headed with this. And that's the fact that Simmons has yet to develop a jump shot. Simmons made 325 field goals last season, and 315 came from the paint. So if defenders press up on Simmons, he can just use his strength and agility to get close to the rim and finish. But if they get a way to back him off and limit his passing options, then Simmons will run into some problems. Simmons' reliance on getting to the paint to score doesn't help the fact that Joel Embiid is a dominant paint scorer himself, which often leaves both of them fighting over the same real estate. The solution for this is obviously for Simmons to develop into a better shooter, because doing that would make it hard for defenders to get the ball off him, and it will also dramatically improve whatever team he's playing for. With his speed, vision, and athleticism, he's capable of taking his game to a whole new level if he can work on that. It's at the defensive end of the court that Simmons is at his outrageous best. He averages 1.6 steals per game, and that saw him tied with a group of players for 5th most in the game. He also averaged 3.5 deflections per game, tying him with Jimmy Butler and TJ McConnell for 3rd most in the league. His massive presence on the perimeter, combined with the way he uses his size and length to harass ball handlers, make him a beast, or a bit of a nightmare for opposition players. And with his size, he's capable of going against the likes of Luka Doncic and LeBron James successfully. To put it simply, Simmons is the Philadelphia shield and protector, and there aren't many players who can guard as many positions and also take on the defensive assignments the way Simmons can. This man is built for today's perimeter-oriented NBA. There's not one doubt about just how talented Simmons is. Yes, the man can't make a three-point and all that, but he's a force in transition, and he's easily one of the best passers in the league. And he's also the type of defender every team is looking for in today's NBA. With his versatility on both ends, it's not hard to imagine him flourishing in the right environment. Whether Simmons returns to the 76ers or is wearing a new uniform next season, there are a couple of things that would go a long way for his long-term development. So, given all that we've just talked about, you could argue that the price isn't so outrageous after all. The problem for them is that there aren't many players of his value on the trade market right now. And really, that's the main reason the front office has struggled to make any progress in trade talks with other teams. Whisper it quietly, but Morey is stubborn and has been playing hardball. Anyway, with training camp arriving soon, everyone's assumption is that Simmons might be very much playing for the 76ers next season. When Simmons reportedly made it clear that he wouldn't be attending training camp in late September, the news caused a lot of buzz on social media as fans began reacting to the report. This one says, "Knowing GM Daryl Morey won't cave for a deal he doesn't like, I get the feeling this is about to get ugly in Philadelphia between Ben Simmons and the Sixers front office." Another fan tweeted, "This dude gotta be the biggest diva in the NBA. Alder thinks it's all 76ers fault," tweeting, "The Sixers dug a hole so deep they're finding it hard to climb out of it." Just as the rumors and news about the 3-time All-Star began to spread like wildfire, the 25-year-old posted a picture of an empty gym on his Instagram story. With no context or caption available, one would say that Simmons was either gearing up for a workout or just finished one. All off-season long, Simmons has been getting some work in and out of Los Angeles. While his personal trainer Chris Johnson is typically the one posting that Simmons is in the gym working, Ben was the one who notified his followers this time that he was in the gym on Tuesday. The post itself didn't reveal anything or say anything that we didn't already know, but the timing is interesting, because this is exactly when many Simmons-related rumors were everywhere on social media. Perhaps that was Ben's way of letting everyone know he was seeing everything that was being said about him. You might not believe it, but I can bet my money on it. There were also reports some days back that the Sixers' #1 goal is to land Damian Lillard if the star becomes available, and that Morey would be more than likely to center a package around Simmons to be sent to Portland in order to try and land the multi-time All-Star point guard. However, Lillard doesn't seem to be interested in leaving Portland just yet, so it appears that the Sixers and Morey are playing the waiting game with Simmons. On the other hand of things, it appears that some Philadelphia players are already mentally preparing to move forward without their all-star guard. Sixers guard Danny Green was asked what the whole circus about Simmons meant for the team and what they could get in return. He replied saying, "It's tough to say, man, because we don't know what we're going to get back for him. We may get a point guard, we may get wings. That might change a lot. I might be playing with a different type of wings. I might be coming off the bench. I don't know who we're going to get. Defensively, I probably become the primary defender. Not that it's an issue or a problem for me. But we have one less wing defender without Ben. Now it's me and Matisse. Not saying the other guys don't play defense, but you talk about our main defenders, Ben was a big part of that and part of our defense." The Warriors and Ben Simmons trade affair is something that has refused to die. It's no secret that the Warriors are looking for a third star of their own after watching the Nets and Lakers create their own big three, which is why Ben Simmons' name at the Warriors front office refuses to die down. Surrounding Simmons, a player who excels at virtually everything on the court except shooting, with arguably the best two shooters in the history of basketball, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, looks to be perfect on paper. However, the Warriors front office are divided about a move for Simmons. While Simmons would feel at home alongside Curry and Thompson immediately, the fit with Draymond Green, who is another non-shooting, playmaking guard in a forward's body, could prove problematic. While some of the people in the Warriors front office see great potential in having two two skilled players thriving in the ball movement principles, especially in transition, others believe that having two non-shooters on the court will enable the team to be able to go toe-to-toe with any offense, especially one like that of the Brooklyn Nets, who are favorites to win the NBA. Another argument is that Simmons is 6 years younger than Green and would provide cover for a longer term. There's no doubt that the idea of playing Simmons next to Green, Curry, Thompson, and Wiggins is tantalizing and sweet to think about. But having two non-shooters on the court in a modern NBA offense is a risky proposition regardless of how talented those players are in other areas. The big question now is whether the Warriors would want to trade Green to allow Simmons space to flourish. That's difficult, especially when you consider Green's history with the team, his unique chemistry with Curry and Thompson, as well as Green's recent resurgence in the 2020-21 campaign. Given all that, it's hard to see the Warriors making a deal like that, but the front office won't be doing their job if they are being sentimental and not working hard to make the team better, and that will mean sacrifices. So while you can't imagine CEO Joe Lacob and Bob Myers trading Green, it can't be completely ruled out. While getting rid of Simmons sooner than later could be in the Sixers' best interest, the organization made it clear they aren't going to trade him just for the sake of doing so. Therefore, he might remain in Philly longer than many desire. Regardless if that's the case or not, it seems there's a high chance he's moved before the 2021-2022 season tips off. Whether the Sixers fail to admit it or not, at some point, sometime between now and the trade deadline, the Sixers will probably have to really move him. The deal will not be exactly what Morey is after, but 2 or 3 guys who are actually contributing will be better than having a player who is not interested in giving the team anything. Comment below to let us know your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. We'll see you next time, latest Hoops fans. Until then, keep shooting your shot!